That's amazing. I mean, 13-point difference in a week.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever seen that type of swing that quick?
I can't think of that large of a swing. I do think back to 2000, whenever the DUI charges against George W. Bush came out. Right, it was the weekend before the election. If you remember, they had found that it was like a 20-year-old DUI that was released that weekend, and it did change numbers. I mean, it's probably what created the situation we had in Florida. So you've seen some things that have come out in October that have created elections, that have created changes in the electoral environment before. That is, it's really difficult, though, for this whole idea of an October surprise to change what happens in the election because so many votes have already been cast. I mean, almost over a third of the vote has been cast in Nevada by, I think it's actually closer to half of the vote now. It was a third of the vote at the end of last week. And so 70% of the vote in Nevada will be cast by Friday. And only a third will be cast on Election Day. And so you've got that many votes already cast. I'll give you an example from the primary. In the primary, Marco Rubio had already received 20% of the vote in Arizona, and he dropped out a week before the election. And that vote had already been cast for him. And so it's, some people have made an argument that early voting ought to be done away with. I don't know that I hold that, but you can certainly see a solid argument as to why it should be, why people should cast their vote on Election Day rather than the time leading up to it, because the world can change, things can change, and that's certainly what's occurred here.
Yeah, it certainly has. So it seems like Trump is on message too. I mean, it seems like he's going crazy as normal.
I don't know that I know what Trump's message is, Steve. So I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm not going to agree either. It's one of those things where if I knew what his message was, I would probably be able to buy into it. But I think it's not. You brought up Obamacare premiums. That should be a huge issue, but it's not. I don't know that that's ever been a part of his message. You bring up WikiLeaks. I mean, certainly email has been a part of his message. Mm-hmm. I gave a fairly thoughtful foreign policy speech a few weeks ago, but you think that could be his message? I mean, think about this for a second. Hillary Clinton, now she's a former Secretary of State, but post-Benghazi, which is, there's not many people who believe that was well handled. Let me just put it that way. And she has a 28-point lead over Trump as to who is best to deal with foreign policy. And so because of that, it shows you the challenge the Trump campaign's had creating any sort of coherent message about foreign policy. I don't think anyone believes he's going to cut their taxes. I don't think anyone believes that he's going to rebuild the economy. We've heard a little bit of a on time and under budget kind of thing, but even that doesn't really, I mean, there's not been a coherent, consistent message. The reason Donald Trump is where he is today is because of Hillary Clinton. And it is only with her as the opponent that you have a Donald Trump who's even in the game today.
And vice versa. Am I correct?
That's right. I agree 100%. Yeah, it is. I mean, I just gave a talk a little bit ago, and I obviously, it's self-serving to say, but I believe a Ted Cruz as the nominee would be up 10 points. A Marco Rubio as the nominee would be up 8 or 9 points. A Jeb Bush would be up. Every other candidate, I believe, would be up in this scenario. And it's just, but you have Donald Trump, and so that's what makes it a competitive race. And as you're right, and vice versa, Hillary Clinton, so that's what makes it a competitive race. If Joe Biden were the nominee, he'd probably be winning by 20 points.